Hello. Do you have one of these countertop dishwashers? Has it started leaking water out the bottom? Well, it's actually very easy to repair. It just takes this one $10 part. I've had this machine for several years, and this will now be my third time having to replace this one gasket. So, first time I got it professionally repaired, cost way too much. They replaced the entire pump assembly. Second time, I decided to take a crack at it myself. Turns out it was really easy. All you need is a few household tools. Now, this particular model is a Danby, but pretty much every dishwasher, every countertop dishwasher you see on Amazon that is this form factor is the same thing underneath. A lot of different brand names on it. This one's a Danby, but I've seen BLACK+DECKER, Comfee, RCA, Hamilton Beach. They're all the same thing underneath. They have the same inter, and they're going to be the same machinery underneath. I got this part from Danby's website. I'll link it below, but you could probably also look for your particular model and look for their equivalent part just in case it's slightly different, but it should probably all be the same. You're going to want a screwdriver, nothing special, standard size Phillips head. You're also going to want two metal pry things, something to pry with. So a butter knife is about the right thickness, but it'd be too flimsy. So I have this tool for my iFixit kit, which is good, and then for another one I have this pet knife, which will do just fine. You will also want some cleaning supplies, because once we take off the bottom plate of this, it'll definitely need some cleaning. You might, at least in my case, need some glue, or because I'm out of glue, some duct tape, because this thing really isn't meant to be repaired. It's meant to break and then be thrown away, but we're not going to do that. But also some of the screws in here and the inside screw into really soft plastic. And so since this is my third time doing this, those screws aren't really holding. Last time I had to glue it back in place. This time, since I'm apparently out of super glue, I'll just use some duct tape. It should be fine. It's like one screw. It's no big deal. Speaking of screws, you'll want somewhere to keep your screws organized. If I remember correctly, they're all pretty much the same size, but nice to keep them organized where you got them just in case. Always good practice. Now, the first thing you want to do is, of course, get it off of the counter. You'll want to put down a towel because there'll probably be some residual water in there. Especially once we turn it over so we can work on it. I kept the hoses attached on mine. You can disconnect yours if you want from both ends. It is obviously it's disconnected from the sink. But I didn't bother disconnecting it from the dishwasher because that was just more hassle and it's whatever. But yeah, have down a towel or two. Be prepared for some residual water coming out of there. And also obviously unplug it. You'll also want to take out the the dish tray, carriage, whatever they call this thing. You don't have to. It's just we don't need this thing rattling around in there while we're turning it over, so we'll just put that aside. So this is the bottom of the machine. Really, I would turn this upside down entirely, put it on its head so this is facing up, but so that you can see, I'll keep it on its side. This is fastened here with just one screw, and then you have these four total clamps around the side. Oh, so sorry, 6, because there's 2 up here, which is what we need these pry things for. Again, like butter knife size roughly, but something a bit stronger than a butter knife. Unless you have really strong butter knives, I guess. Alright, so we'll just undo this screw at the top. Alright, and I'll set that aside and put it in its own little spot. And then we need to unclip these. So I'm going to take my little iFixit tool and my penknife, and we will undo some clamps here. To wedge it in at kind of a steep angle, and then you want to be a bit careful. It is plastic, so you don't want to break it. As I said, these things aren't really meant to be repaired. Alright, and I think I got these two. Oh, there we go. Alright, and then carefully, because I don't want to accidentally push that back in, I'll go on to the next set. Oh, there we go. And then at that point, you can pretty much pull the rest off. Now, you don't want to yank this off completely. I say as I yank it off. Because this thing down here is connected. Now, this little doohickey at the bottom, and this is also why I said cleaning supplies, although honestly this looks less bad than I expected. The water here is hard as rock, so there's tons of scale buildup, but This is the float switch. This is the thing that triggers the alarm when it's leaking water. You've probably noticed if you have the same issue, it leaks water out the bottom, and eventually, if you let that problem continue, it'll stop running the dishwasher, it'll throw up an alarm, like an error code thing, and will release all the water that it has back into the sink, and then cancel the cycle. You'd have to turn the machine on and off again to get it to start again. And that's by design. That's to let you know something's wrong, and that's what this switch is doing. We just need to disconnect it. There's 2 plastic clamps here. all you need to do is just with your fingers push those together while trying to lift up this gray disc. And there you are. And this is just dead simple engineering. Piece of styrofoam. When the styrofoam floats, it hits a switch. That switch tells the dishwasher that there's a leak. One of those bits of engineering that's so simple, it's genius. So just put that aside. Be sure to keep the styrofoam. Again, that is meant to float, so it hits the switch. But now we can safely put the bottom plate here aside, and you'll want to probably give that a wipe before you put it back, but I'll do that at the end. Alright, now we're in the internals of the dishwasher. The first time I experienced this problem, I noticed that the problem was coming from the pump assembly, and I thought, that's too complicated, I can't fix that. Turns out I can. It's actually very easy. And as I said, it's just one part. This one gasket, the oil gasket it's called, tends to just fail over time. The hot water just eats away at it, and eventually it just goes. But instead of getting a whole new dishwasher, or in my case, a whole new pump assembly the first time this happened, and I took it to a repair shop, it turns out you can just take the pump assembly apart, replace the gasket, it's a $10 part, put it back in, right as rain. Alright, decided to turn it upside down and change camera angles after all. Again, make sure you have a towel. There will be some residual water that will come out of it once you turn it upside down. So what we need to do is we need to get in here. So first we need to take off the things attaching this to the rest of it. So we need to start with this. And I said Phillips head earlier, but this is actually a flathead. This will release and loosen this hose clamp. Alright, then loosen that, and we can just slide this off, like so. These are Phillips heads. Oh yeah, this is the screw I had to glue in last time because the plastic was just gone. This cheap stuff was really not meant to have stuff screwed in and out of it multiple times. Really not expecting you to repair this, but we're doing it anyway. Alright, let me put those two screws to the side. Keep them organized. Alright, that's nice and disconnected. Alright, and then, this is a little hard to see, but underneath here, there's a little, like, rubber piece that's hooked around a little hook. It's around a little clamp there. And you want to reach down and just unhook that. It's pliable rubber, so. Right, there we are. It's just this thing. It was connected to that. All you need to do is unhook that, and then there's one on the other side. Alright, now those are all unhooked. I'm not going to bother unhooking these electronics. There's enough slack here that don't worry about it. Next, what we need to do is open the pump assembly here. It's little plastic tabs and it turns. So I'm going to lift those up. There's one, the other. Alright, once you have those undone, you're going to have to apply a bit of pressure. There we go. And here we have what I believe is the heating element, and then this is the thing that, well, pumps the water, that spins, pumps water, something like that. I'm not an engineer, it doesn't matter. What we want to do next is take out that screw in the middle here. You'll have to hold the white piece tight so that you can unscrew it. It might get a little stuck in there. Fortunately, I have a magnet. There we go. Put that off to the side, keep it organized. Alright, and then we can pull that off. And there it is. There's the gasket that fails. Mine actually hasn't failed too bad yet. Looks mostly intact. I've seen worse. But, as I said, I've had this problem before. So we want to pry that guy out of there. He's going to be in there pretty snug. There we go. Having a little bit better luck with the penknife. There we go. And there we are. Yeah, I can see it started to disintegrate a little bit. That's what happens over time. Let's clean out some of that residue there. Yeah, so all that's from the gasket that's supposed to be keeping the water in, so now you can see why it was leaking. Alright, good enough. And we'll take our new oil gasket. Like so, nice fresh and new, nice and sturdy, not melted and falling apart. And that just goes right in here, just how it was before. There we are. Just press that firmly down. Then when we reattach this, that'll make sure it's pressed even further. Alright, so you want to line this up. It's a little rectangular shaped there. Alright. And let's get the screw we took out of it and put it back. I need my magnet again. Yep. Alright, gently place that under with the magnet. I can screw it down. Make sure with the white thing in place you can actually tighten it. Alright, that's nice and good. Now I want to make sure to clean up any extra water here, got down here. And then we will take these rubber straps and hook that one in. Then hook this one in. This is all for vibration isolation, so your motor here isn't making a complete ruckus, at least not more than it usually does. Actually, my bad, I should have connected this thing first, but it doesn't matter, I can do it afterwards. Just a little bit less ergonomic. Alright, slot that in, then let's turn it until those click. There we go. Alright, nice and secure on both sides. I'll just slide this gasket here back in place, slide its hose clamp back, and the screw we didn't actually take out, just stayed with the clamp. We'll make sure that hose is snug and the clamp is in the right place, and we'll tighten that back down. Oops, got to make sure it's actually fastened in there first and not completely loose so it can actually tighten. There we go. Make sure to keep that nice and snug, nice and pressed up against it. Alright, make sure that's nice and tight so nothing leaks out of there. Nice and snug. Alright, then we need to reconnect this piece here. Change back to a Phillips head, grab those other two screws. It's a little tricky to get seated just right. Alright, we'll try and tighten down these sides evenly. Again, this is where the plastic has worn away before. Let's, I think the fact that I glued it last time to help secure it was sufficient. Yeah, it's screwing it again, that's good. Alright, making sure that is actually secure there. Until the plastic's wearing down on the other side too, but I think that's tight enough. Yep, that's nice and secure. Alright, then we need to reattach this panel. No, I said I'd clean it earlier, but that's fine. Alright, just snap that back into place. Make sure you have this oriented the right way. There was a bit of water down here, but that's just going to flow out once we turn it back over. I'm not too worried about it. Alright, that all snaps back. We take our final screw here. Alright, and she's right as rain. Alright, and I'll get this back on the counter and give it a go. Alright, got it all hooked up again. Now, as I said, there was a little bit of water in the bottom there that did leak out once I put it back up right. So just be wary of that. I just cleaned it up with a paper towel just a little bit. Now we're good to give it a test wash. So I'll just put this on a rinse and should be fine. And that is how you repair one of these countertop model dishwashers when it starts leaking. It's pretty much always the oil gasket going, and it's just a cheap part that's easy to replace yourself. So, hope this helped, because I almost replaced this thing before taking a crack at it myself, and I'm glad I did, because it really wasn't too hard. So, screw plant obsolescence, believe in yourself, and give repairing things a try. Oh yeah, listen to that baby purr. The counter is bone dry.